Hey guys.
Okay, I'm good.
Let me know if you guys are here.
Tell them how cool I am because it's funny.
Be careful because that might be wet.
Yes, you're very cool. Hush. Hey guys, what's up, everybody?
Tell them.
Welcome to my channel, Discovering Nicole. My name is Nicole, and I'm a person in long-term recovery. I got sober, what?
I was letting Nate know.
I got sober July 13th of 2015.
Okay, good.
Uh-huh. After losing custody of my little boy to CPS. And of course, I fought my ass off to get him back. And so tonight we're going to be having a special guest speaker. His name is Kevin, and he has a YouTube channel called Kicking Addiction. This may be an issue with Facebook. Okay.
Your friend's outside. Make sure
His name is Kevin from Kicking Addiction. So if you guys don't mind, do me a solid, like the video, share the video, and invite your friends. I'm going to do the same. Okay, so let me get that all done. And yeah, what's up, everybody? I'm glad to have you guys all here. I'm glad y'all showed up and are hanging out with me tonight. Let me know how the reception is. Like, is it coming through clear? Can y'all see me okay? That kind of thing. If you can't see me good, I need to know so that way I can fix it. You know what I'm saying? I think it looks pretty clear, though, so I'm pretty happy about that. Okay, good. Thank you for that. All right. I'm so mad, you guys. Freaking Facebook banned me from going live for 29 days, and I can't share my freaking video over there because of it. Bummer. Hey, Kevin, what's up? Okay, yeah, take your time, man. Take your time. I'm literally just going to be posting for one of the people that we work with. So, okay, where's the damn video that he's going to send me so I can post it already? Okay, good deal. Here we go. Download. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about tonight is Kevin's experience with Suboxone treatment, okay? And then we are also going to talk about how he transitioned on to Sublocade, you guys, which is what a lot of people are doing to get off of Suboxone, you know. So he's going to share with us all about that. And then we'll probably talk about whatever we all want to talk about. But after that, or just answer questions, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, I went on his channel, I think like last week or the week before, and we had like a really good conversation. And you know, I thought, you know what, let's do it over here on my channel now. So that's what we're going to do. So y'all know that I'm on Suboxone. I got on Suboxone July 13th of 2015. I had never like been really told about Suboxone. Like
bleeding again.
Okay, is it pouring out of your nose or just like spotting? Okay, just keep that in your nose, okay? Just roll up a little piece and put it in there, buddy. And tilt your head back, okay? I got on Sublocade after I went into treatment. I was 30 days sober when I got Sublocade, Suboxone. I was 30 days sober. And so I didn't really get told about Vivitrol or anything like that. So honestly, when I think back to it, it kind of makes me mad because I feel like they could have put me on Vivitrol and I would have been fine. But who knows? You know, I can't go back and change it. So I just, you know, it's what it is. I'm happy that I'm sober today and that I have my son back. And that's really all that matters to me, you know? Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to put some stuff in the chat for y'all.
Jay, literally, look, I'm literally gushing blood everywhere.
You're not gushing blood everywhere. Okay, I need y'all to be quiet, okay? Okay, hold on. Kevin, I see you. Hold on just a second. I'm going to bring you on. Here, I'm putting these things in here. Y'all, it might be a little rowdy around here because my son's here and he has his little friend here. So if y'all hear my son acting crazy, that's what's going on. We are ghetto fabulous over here. Okay. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's do this. Okay. I'm going to bring Kevin on. Let me tell you a little secret about Kevin. The other day when we were going live together, I was sitting there in his, he had me backstage and I was sitting there waiting to come on. Y'all, this fool has sinus issues, and he was snorting, and I was like, "Damn, does he not see me?" But what he did. It was just so funny because I was like, if I didn't know you, I was thinking you was snorting some cocaine, fool.
Oh my God, that's freaking hilarious. Can you hear me okay?
Anyway, yeah. What about you, man?
Yeah, this is what I was doing. Do you ever use this?
No, I have a really bad like deviated septum,
So
so
do
like
I.
my nose will just drip.
Yeah, I have the same thing.
So
It gets worse.
I just sit there and go all through my live streams. I'm sure people think I'm messed up or something.
I know that's why I was doing that before. I was like, and I didn't know you could hear me. You're like, what the hell's that sound?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my
But
God, you could hear me? I was like, yeah, I have to like try to clear my nostrils before I go live because there was a stream I did with Dr. Ken Starr, and I was literally sniffing like every freaking 3 minutes. So I'm now super like paranoid about doing that on any videos now.
I understand. When I first started making videos, before people like got to know me, I would sniffle a lot, and people would come on and they would say, "Why are you sniffling?" You know what I mean? And I'm like,
Yeah.
seriously? But I would tell them, like this part of my nose is like collapsed in, and so that's why I sniffle. I mean, you can even see it. Watch this. It like completely, this side of it goes all in right here. Like
I have the same thing. My nose is like crooked off to one side, so it's like
yeah.
I went to the doctor and he's like, dude, your nose is blocked like 90% on this side. I'm like, I never knew that my whole freaking life. What the hell? And then he's like, oh, it's only 20 grand to fix that.
Did you snort your opiate pills?
No.
No? Okay. I thought maybe that was what happened.
No,
Okay.
it's weird. Right. I always like to like wait for them to kick in. I liked the anticipation when I was doing that. Like I had a lot of buddies that snorted and I was like, I want to wait for it to kick in. I don't want it to be like here and gone like that fast.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Before I switched over from using opiates, to injecting, when we would take them, I would take them on an empty stomach. I had to make sure I had no food in my stomach, so that way they would kick in real good.
That's exactly what I did. It was like my routine. First thing in the morning, I would like, 7 of these and get 3 caffeine pills. Then we get my cup of coffee, and then I went to work. Freaking insane.
We take caffeine. Do you still take caffeine pills? We do.
So I've kind of had like a long-term struggle with caffeine addiction. It's been a love-hate relationship. And recently the corner store that I always get these Red Line energy drinks, and they raised the price from $3 to $4 freaking dollars. I was like, I'm not doing that. I went to Walmart and bought a bottle of caffeine pills for $4. I'm like, that's 2 months worth of gas station trips right there for one little bottle. So I just take 1 caffeine pill in the morning now, and that's it.
Okay, I take the ones from Walmart. I see all you guys. Welcome to the stream. I'm really glad to see all you guys come here. Nintendo Dub says, damn, this dude's looking good.
Well, thank you, Nintendo.
And Deb says here. She loves you anyway. And Tiffany says hi from Rhode Island. Hey,
hello.
Liliana, what's up, girl? So what's up, everybody? Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Y'all know how it is. I'm pretty like laid back. What I would like from you, Kevin, is because I really don't know how you got started on opiates. So what I would like to hear about is, could you share with us, first of all, a little bit about what it was like when you were a kid growing up? Like, did you come from a 2-parent household? Did you have any trauma when you were growing up? And then would you share with us how you got started on opiates? And I'm going to let you go.
All right. So I was pretty much mostly raised by a single mother until, I guess I would say until about the age of 14 or so. In fact, I had just gotten kicked out of my 5th grade elementary school for fighting. So I was like on a crash course from my early childhood. And I think a lot of that had to do with the lack of my father being involved in my life. Like I would see him every other weekend for, half of the night or something like that. Like it wouldn't be very often. And whenever I did see my dad, he was always like partying, smoking and drinking. And back then they would smoke indoors, and I'd just be smelling this cigarette smoke. Horrible. Oh, do you remember those days where everybody would smoke inside?
Yeah, my mom smoked cigarettes when I was a little girl, and she didn't smoke inside. But I remember my dad would always like pick at her about it because he didn't like it, and he would call people that smoked cigarettes butt smokers. And so this is like 1989, 1990, and me and my sisters are all in the car. It's me, Michelle, and Christine, and we're all like back to back. I'm 5, Michelle's 4, Christine's 3.5, 2.5 or 3, and this man walks out. He's smoking a cigarette at the gas station, and my baby sister sticks her head out the window and says, "Hey, Mom, look, it's a butt smoker."
That's freaking
We
hilarious.
had the best time.
My little brother used to yell stuff like that in the neighborhood too, because our neighbor smoked, and he's all, "He smokes cigarette butts," and he'd like scream that down the neighborhood, and I was so embarrassed. I was like, "Dude, you're gonna get us in trouble." But yeah, it was always like a thing for people to like, I don't know, it was just, I just remember how gross it was. Like you go into restaurants, you're trying to eat your food, and there's someone just blowing smoke in your face. Like I'm so glad, at least in
I
Utah, it's
honestly
that
can't
way.
believe they allowed us to smoke in restaurants. Like I can't believe that.
Yeah, that's ugh. Just thinking back, it wasn't too long ago. What, maybe like 10 years ago or so, was it?
Yeah, I do remember when they changed it over. So your mom was a single parent. It was just you and your mom.
Yeah, well, it was my mom, myself, and I have a little brother. He's like 4 or 5 years younger than me,
Uh
and
huh.
she was always like working. She'd work 3 jobs,
Uh huh.
so she had to work her ass off to pay for, our little apartment that we had, and so I was pretty much raising my little brother, and it was just like I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was out there. I mean, I was out in the neighborhood till like 2 in the morning and stuff, like as a fourth grader, right? Like,
Yeah. Did your mom
do
work did she have to work 2 jobs, or was it? How was that?
yeah, she worked a lot. It was I want to say she worked like 2 full-time jobs. We'd go to my aunt's house a lot of the times, and so she was always at work too, just trying to pay bills, and it's like I feel bad for her because she's really pretty, right? And so if it would be like the social media age that we have now, she would have found a rich guy to come take care of her. I see that happen a lot these days, by the way. And so like she was just single for a lot of my childhood, and my dad was just too interested in partying and stuff like that, so he wasn't too interested in being a father. So yeah, I would just see him every couple weeks, and he'd just be drinking and partying every time that I'd see him, and that was about the most I really ever got to know my dad. And he died when I was right after my opiate addiction started, when I was about 23 years old. 22 years old. He shot himself. He was addicted to like meth. The word on the street is that he was actually dealing meth. So I don't know too much about all that. I just know that he was like really struggling with addiction, and yeah, he shot himself. I guess the cops like kicked down his door to like whatever raid his house at like 4 in the morning, and I guess he shot at one of the cops, and he ran in the bathroom and just did a countdown and shot himself in the head. So
So your dad struggled with addiction.
yep, my whole family
That's
does actually.
Was that why him and your mom were not together?
Hmm.
How did that make
Yeah.
you feel not having your dad around? Because boys. I know my son. He's like obsessed with with my husband.
Really, it was really hard. Like, and I felt even worse for my brother because his dad, and we all have different dads. My mom, we've got my sister, my brother, we all have different dads. Um, so my brother's dad lived in Washington, so he never got to, so he had zero like masculine figure in his life, right? I was like his father in a lot of ways. But yeah, it really, like I could tell, and everything that I've looked into about like psychology and stuff, like a lot of kids need both their parents, man. It makes a huge difference. So I feel like I was kind of doomed to begin with.
Absolutely. I bought a book that I was reading to everybody today about how to help an addict. How to help your addict loved one and remain sane at the same time, and like not lose your sanity. And in the beginning of the book, it tells you about why addiction is considered a disease, what environmental things can contribute to somebody having an addiction, what what things that happen like in as a kid, like in your life, can contribute to it. And it talked about how in the first 10 to 12 years of your life is when your brain is developing, and when you're setting the tone for what your life is going to be like in the future when you're, up until you're like 10 or 12 years old. And so it really made me think about how I grew up with a father, and how he was like super strict and really like, do what I say to do, and so that really affected me later on in life. But anyway, I think about it with my son all the time about how I want to make sure that me and my husband are, just doing the best we can to make sure that he has everything that he needs and that he's confident, So it makes me scared. And I can understand why you would struggle not having your dad, especially being a man. But I mean, look at you, you're like all buff and stuff, I mean, you obviously got, you had some masculine people around you to kind of like teach you about that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, actually, that's a funny story. What led me, I was always like the skinniest guy in school. I was 6'1", 130 pounds, like most of my life, right? And I had the prettiest girlfriend I've ever had when I was that skinny, by the way. Like, so it's been interesting to see the transition as far as like the women that I date, as far as being skinny half my life, and then the second half of my life I've been this size. But what happened is a girl I was with for like 6 years, we broke up, and she went for my good buddy. His name was Matt, and he was a bodybuilder. So I was so jealous of her going with him that I was like, I could do that. I could get buff too. And then I ended up passing him up. And so now it's like a joke between, we're all friends still to this day, but I was like, hey, thanks for the body, guys, because if it wasn't for them, I'd still probably be 130, 130 pounds, not working out at all, and I don't really know what I would be doing.
So that inspires you to get to start lifting weights. How did you?
Yep.
Okay, so now I want to know I want to know how you got on opiates. Like, I mean, I can imagine, like, since your dad struggled with addiction, that you had a predisposition, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to become a drug. You know what I'm saying? So tell us what happened with opiates and how you got on them.
Yeah, so let me think. Just a quick side note about my dad too. He had a tattoo on his forearm that said acid. And I always kind of knew as a kid, like he always would wear like the marijuana leaf belts, and like I knew deep down that he was into some shady shit, but I never knew anything about drugs until way later in life. I mean, I didn't even drink my first beer until I was like 22, 23 years old, right? Like,
oh wow.
So I guess I'll backtrack just a little bit about my fatherhood real quick before I go into the addiction. So I had a very strict stepfather come into the picture at about the age of 14 or so. And to go from being out in the streets all night to having basically an army instructor from my father, like that's basically the difference. Like I once got grounded to my room for an entire summer for stealing some quarters from him to go buy candy, to my room. Like I had to ask to go to the bathroom. It was that serious of a deal. Like I would get grounded if I didn't make my bed before school. So it was a very strict, and it was a hard adjustment for me to be so wild and free to that kind of a lifestyle. So looking back on it, I really think that if it wasn't for him coming into our lives and being so strict with me, like I would have been dead or in jail. Like I would have gone way off the path way sooner than I did. So I really, for him being so strict, like I resent him for a lot of reasons. For like grounding me to my room, I think that's a bit excessive. But for a lot of other
My
reasons,
dad was the same way. Just so you
oh
know.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you might be able to relate to that a little bit because you said you had a really strict.
Dude, me and my sister
dad.
used to fly kites to each other from our bedrooms. We would all be in our bedrooms grounded, and so we would write notes to each other and bing across the hallway.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was the only one that ever got grounded, so I was just like the troublemaker of the family, I guess. But so he came into our lives. I remember one time he accused me of being high on weed or something, and I had no idea what weed even was. And it was like when I was like 18 years old. So as far as when I got into opiates, so I got in a motorcycle accident when I was about 21, right around 21 years old. I was riding a brand new motorcycle. Thank God it was like the middle of winter in Utah. And so I had a helmet on. It was one of the rare times that I had a helmet on because I usually never wore a helmet back then. And I used to do like wheelies on my motorcycle with no helmet, like just being a dumb kid. And so I was coming over the train tracks, and there was a car that was a van that was pulling out, and so I T-boned the van on my motorcycle, and I went right into the side of the van. It shattered my collarbone. It healed all freaking messed up like this, but so I went to the hospital with a shattered collarbone. It was like 10 different pieces, and they sent me home with a huge prescription of, I think it was Loratab 7.5s or maybe 10s. And I can't remember the first one that they gave me. I was like really puking a lot. And so we called and said, this isn't working. And then I think they gave me Percocet first and then Loratab second, or it could be mixed up from that. But the first one didn't work, or the second one did. And then that's kind of really what started. Like I'm like, dang, because it's crazy that you could be like mangled from an accident, but you could be happy because of the pills, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
I think that's really scary to think about that. It's like, damn, you could bypass a lot of pain just from popping a little pill. And so I think that's where a lot of people can get into trouble, because it not only bypasses the physical pain, but it's all the emotional pain that we have too. So it's like a double whammy.
When you took it for the first time, like what did you think in your mind? Were you like, hell yeah, man? And did you take like 2 or 3 at a time, or were you like conservative and just took one?
So I was really like a light, or what's it called? Like a lightweight with that kind of stuff, because I'd never taken anything like that. So it was really just like one pill, maybe 2 pills a day. And I was just like feeling really good and really comfortable and really like lovey. I always got really euphoric and lovey with my girlfriend. And what would happen though is I could maintain my addiction. I didn't even know I had a problem for many years. And I could really, like, I would take a Loratab 10 at work every Friday for like 3 or 4 years. I'm pretty sure I could maintain that for that long. And that was my way of rewarding myself, because I hated my job at the time. That was my way of rewarding myself for going to work all week. And so I would just go to work, pop my Loratab 10, and I had the best day ever. And the day was over like as soon as you knew it, right?
Loratab?
Yeah, one.
Damn, man. I wish I could have for me, it just happened to, I guess because I am an extremist when it comes to drugs, especially. And so when I took something that I liked, I was like, oh, I need to take more of that. You know what I mean? And I would want to intensify it, And so that's why I got so fucked up and my life went to shambles. So, but I can see people like you who are able to maintain, like they're functioning addicts. They have they are able to maintain a job, pay their bills, pay their car payment, have a business, and still use substances. But yeah, even though you hold on, even though you were functioning and like maintaining a job and stuff, like, can you tell us if like just because you had those things, like, was there other areas in your life where drugs were affecting it in a negative way? Because I think a lot of people hear, well, oh, I had a job and I pay my bills and it's not like I'm wrecking my car. It's not that big of a deal. But what I believe is that all those things could be in order, but there's other things that those substances start affecting, like maybe your relationship or your, self-esteem, just anything like that. So what did you think?
Honestly, like when I kept it to like one Loratab 10 for Fridays, like I can't think of really hardly any negatives.
Yeah.
I pushed that for so long. I don't know how I didn't go off the rails much quicker with that. I think I was just so like against addiction in my head because of what I've seen my dad go through my whole child. He lived in a crappy little apartment, and I was just like, I do not want to be like him when I grow up. So I was just like so against addiction. I just had it like kind of built into my head to like not dabble with drugs and alcohol, but here I had this little small, every Friday I was taking something, and I had no idea at the time that this could become an issue. I think I just got really lucky, for whatever reason, that I didn't dive off into it much quicker.
Yeah, you had some self-control, and that's
Yeah.
what I feel like. I feel like I started out with a little bit of self-control, but that was so quickly out the window. When
Mhm.
did you start like upping your intake, and what happened? How bad did it get? Like, did you like start buying them off the street? Tell us about that. Tell us what happened.
So when my first script ran out from the collarbone incident, I had my girlfriend's friend at the time. She had like Loratab 10 prescriptions. She would get like 80 of them every month. And so I would just kind of buy them right from her. So I just kind of always had like this huge stockpile of them, right? And it's just like this never-ending supply basically. But gosh, when did it? So okay, so I switched jobs to another job that I didn't like, and then I would start using it every Monday and Friday, and then that went on for maybe 6 months or so, and it was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And at that point, I had the alarm bells going off in my head. I was driving to work one day, and I was just like, I called my old stepdad, and I was like, hey, I think I might have a problem. Like, how do I know, when I need to be worried about this? And I told him what I was doing. He didn't he didn't like give me enough warning bells where I was like too concerned, but just like thinking back at that point, I think I was already in dire need of some like professional help at that time. But yeah, it went from Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then at that point, my girlfriend at the time, she could notice a huge difference in my personality when I was on them. I'd be like all texting her, I love you, honey. And she's like, I got home and she could see it. She could always see it in my eyes. She's like, you're effed up, aren't you? And it's like, she would start to like create this, rightfully so, this huge deal it was forming right in front of our eyes. You know what I mean? So shout out to her for staying with me for as long as she did. I mean, she stayed with me for like 6 years, and 3 of those years were pretty bad into my addiction. But yeah, it got to the point where I was either happy and high and lovey-dovey, or laying on the couch, sad and depressed and withdrawing, which at the time I had for many years, I had no idea that withdrawal was even a thing.
Same. I didn't either. And I think the first time I ever really experienced withdrawal was, I think it was when I went into treatment for the second time, because up until that point, I don't know if it was because I wasn't using like 7 days a week, because I was incorporating like stimulants method with it,
Mhm.
or what, but I had never really experienced it before. And then I went into treatment, and I was coming off of all this stuff, and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. And it was so embarrassing because I didn't know anybody there, and I was in a room with another girl, and I shit on myself, like it was really fucking, it was horrible. But I can handle withdrawal a lot better, like now, and then my husband could, because we would go through withdrawal all the time together, all the time. And he would be kicking the walls and freaking out and like coming out of his skin. And I think I would just like try to sleep.
Like what age were you guys when you were going through that?
Neil, so I'm 40 now, and Neil's going to be 45, I think. So I was like 31, 29, 31. 29, 30 to 31, I think. And so we were taking methadone though. We were on like 120 milligrams of methadone a day. And then we ran out and didn't have any, and couldn't get any more because Neil got cut off because he was doing cocaine, and we got busted. And so we both had to not have them. And then of course, what ended up happening was we were really sick. We got through like the most of the withdrawal, and like 4 days had passed. And then we're like, cave and go get Roxy's.
That's funny that you say that, because I've seen over the years on my channel, I've seen so many people like try to put down Suboxone, and they're like, it's so funny. There's like, I could have just withdrawn for 4 days and been totally fine off of heroin or opiates. And it's like, no,
if you could have done that, you would have done that.
You
though.
would have, yeah,
That's the problem.
exactly.
Yeah,
they make it sound like all you have to do is get past 4 days, and your brain is just magically healed. Everything's going to be hunky dory after 4 days. And I'm like, dude, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
The physical withdrawal is the easy part. It's the debilitating depression and anxiety and just overall sense of doom and gloom and not being able to like perform like you want to. Like I imagine since you like work out and stuff, like not having energy to go to the gym and work out and feel like your normal self and feel like you're like the way I can say it is like it feels like I'm an imposter inside of my own body. Like I don't want to be inside of it. Like I need to get out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It just feels like the low energy is what always got me way bad. It was like I couldn't even get off the couch. Even when my family would come over, I would just like turn on the TV, watching TV, and I don't care if my family's here or not. I'm just chilling. And just for the longest time, I had no idea like I was withdrawing. I remember I'd wake up many nights, like my bed sheets would be soaked in sweat. And I was like, what the hell is going on with me? And I must have withdrawn probably like 15, 20 times over the years. Never even knew that withdrawal was a thing.
Dude, I withdraw all the time once I got into active addiction real bad on opioids, because I moved here and I was just shooting Roxy's all the time, and those things are $30 a pop. You know, I couldn't afford that all the time, and I had a good job, and so eventually, you know, I just started getting really sick, and that's what led me to really. That's why I would do meth. I would do some meth and get up and then be like, ding, 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 you know, and say, fuck it, I'm okay now, you know? Oh gosh, honestly, if drugs didn't ruin my life, I would still do drugs because I love the way drugs made me feel. Didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, if I looked back on it though, like it was such a short good time versus such like high amount of downtime.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the clock in the day, you know, you figure you're sleeping for 8 hours, so you're awake for 16 hours or so. Like, I mean, at first it was one thing when I would take a lower tab 10, it would last like 7 hours, right? And then after the addiction progressed, it was like shorter and shorter time. Like the more that I took, it would only last like an hour or two. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, this isn't worth it. I'm paying like $200 a day for an hour or two of fun times, and the rest of the day sucks. Like, eh. So I don't know. That's just kind of how I was looking at it. Like, for the first when my tolerance was low, and like I would take it once every Friday. Like, I think that was like the ideal way to do it. Like, if I could maintain that, then yeah, that's probably if I could go back in time and somehow magically do that. But that's almost impossible to kind of maintain after a certain amount of time. But kind of, I guess I could kind of go ahead and lead to like how it progressed. So like I was saying that I was doing the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then my girlfriend at that point was getting like concerned. And then let's see, then my tolerance would start to grow. And then I would take it, I would take it every day of the week after maybe like a couple years of doing the Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing. I would just start doing it every freaking day because I could get so many of them. And I was always kind of like the kind of person that like I was a hustler when I was younger, right? Like I was so into making money and having nice cars and big houses and stuff. Like I had a huge brand new 3,200 square foot house when I was 27 years old. Like I had a Dodge Viper in my garage when I was 23. So and I'm a high school dropout. I worked at McDonald's.
What were you doing? What
I
were
worked
you
at
doing
McDonald's.
for a living?
So I started out, my first job was making $5 an hour at McDonald's when I was 16. I dropped out of high school to go get a full-time job because I just slacked in school. I had no care about school. I was the biggest failure in school. I never got above a 2.0 grade average. So my teacher told me to drop out, and I did. I just walked out of class. I said, all right, see ya. I went and got a job and started making money, and all my friends were like getting behind when I was getting ahead, right? But like I used to be an auto mechanic when I was like 18 years old. I worked at a race car shop and we would build race cars. So I'd learned how to work on cars. And then I started getting into like buying cars, fixing them up and selling them. And that's really where my passion is, and like where I could make huge chunks of money was just buying a beat down car, putting a new engine in it and selling it and making like a huge profit. That's really just a quick side note while we're on this topic. if I don't think you even know this, but I have a car channel. It's called Badass 1G. Have you seen that?
I've seen it.
You did? Okay. So if any of you guys watching this are into like motorcycles, stunts, or fixing cars, or working on Corvettes or other random cars, feel free to check out my other channel. It's called Badass 1G, just badass like it sounds, the number 1 and G, Badass 1G. But yeah, so I eventually started opening my own car dealership because I was just so into working on cars and finding them for a good deal, right? And just flipping them and making a crap load of money. So I mean, it's to the point where I was like I said earlier, I would wake up first thing in the morning. I would take 7 Roxy 30s. So it was at like 100 and it was up there, 180 or something like that
Like
milligrams, somewhere
210,
around.
because 7 times 3 is 21, right? Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it was up there. It was like somewhere around 150, 200 milligrams was like a day. It was like my average at the worst of things. But yeah, I would just wake up, pop a bunch of pills, and get right to work and start finding cars to go buy. And I would be so happy because of the drugs that were kicking in. Like I could be so nice to these people when I was going to negotiate deals with their cars, and they just loved me. So they're like, "Oh, sure, I'll take 500 off for you," or like I was just such a likable guy on drugs, and like I had the best personality. Like I could talk to a stranger off the street, no problem at all, and it was just like the easiest conversation. So my conversation skills went way higher when I was high on Roxy's, and that's really
Well,
all,
yeah. I mean, because it gives you that confidence, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was the same way. I have always liked talking and been a good talker, but whenever I used, it made me feel like more confident, like I was taller, prettier, skinnier, better,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gives you like
Yeah.
an extra huge boost of confidence. Like,
Yes.
as soon as it kicks in, you're like, who is this person? Like it's a different, you seem extra happy today. And it's people like, or people around you will notice that you are noticeably acting more charismatic, I guess you could call it, or whatever word you want to use for that. But yeah, just for years, like that pretty much when I got to the worst of my habit, like it got to the point where my girlfriend was like calling me out on it every day. So I had to start like hiding it from her. And I would wait, obviously take it first thing in the morning while she went to work. And then that way, by the time she got home, like I was kind of normal by then. But yeah, towards the end of our relationship, like it was, I think back on all the relationships that I was in while I was addicted to painkillers, and every freaking one of them was so toxic, like fighting every day, or making up to break up on the week, making up and breaking up every weekend, or she's going to move out this weekend, like just the toxicity from the relationships. And like looking back on it now, it's so clear to me that the problem was my addiction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't
Because
see
you're
that.
lying. You're being secretive.
Yeah.
I know, because my husband did the same thing when he relapsed in 2020. And it's honestly, when you're a woman and you're on the other side of it, like to me, it was like he was cheating on me.
Yeah.
It was just as bad because he was lying to me, lying straight to my face. And I know that I know that your girlfriend probably felt the same way that I felt, you know?
She did for sure. And she wasn't shy about letting me know how she was feeling about it. Like she would call me out on every time.
Well, like it's like when Neil would come in, it would be so obvious, to me. It wouldn't even be like I couldn't tell or anything. And so I'm sure you were the same way. And after being with you guys for so long and then seeing you sober and then seeing you the other way, it's just like, oh gosh, it would go all over me and I would be so upset. So it's really hard when you have one person in the relationship that's that doesn't do drugs or staying sober, and somebody else that's struggling with that. It puts a lot of strain on the relationship.
Yeah, it really did for us for many years. And it was just like towards the end, it was getting brutal. Like we both had a government job, and we actually ended up in the same training class. And I'll never forget, like she came up to me and she's like, "Oh, you fucked up in training, huh?" Like calling me out. Like she would not hold back on this shit. So I could just imagine like what I was looking like, because it's really funny. I always felt that when I was high, that I was totally normal. And there was this one day that I was at my mom's house with my little sister, and we have a young adopted sister. And then I went home, and for whatever reason, it was like 12 o'clock at noon. I went home, and for whatever reason, I started recording a video of myself, and I had no idea why I was, but uh, I watched it the next day, and I was like, "Oh my God, I just came from my mom's house like that." Like I thought I was totally normal, and I was like, like it was bad. Like there was a point in the video I stopped breathing for like 30 seconds as I was awake and talking to the camera. Like, oh my God. Like I always tell people like that was definitely my rock bottom because I have like a kid sister, she's like probably 10 years old at the time. And I just can't imagine me being like that over at my mom's house at 12 o'clock in the daytime. Like I have no idea. She says she never knew that I had a problem. I'm like, what? How could you not tell?
How do we think that we're fooling everybody though? That's what I don't understand. Like everybody I've talked to says the same thing. Like I'm fine, and like you're really not fine. I think it's because we feel good, so we think that we are looking good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of us we just get so used to feeling the way that we do because it's such a part of our normal daily habits when we're that deep into it that we can kind of be functioning in a way, right? Like we can still drive to the store sometimes and still go to the grocery store or whatever, but it's just like when that stuff really kicks in hard at like the first part of it, damn man, I'm just so lucky thinking back on all the years that I didn't crash my car while I was driving or fall asleep at the wheel and kill somebody or kill myself. There was so many times that I would call my best friend at the time because I thought I was gonna die. Like I could feel them kicking in so hard. I was like, oh my God, I'm screwed. So I called my buddy. I said, hey, stay on the phone with me for a little bit. I think I'm gonna die. Right. And I probably did that like 30 times over the years. Thank God I never did. But it's just like a really heavy feeling when you're taking those high of a doses. It's like, and that was back when everything was legit, right? Or at least everything that I
Right.
got was legit. These days, you don't have that kind of I mean, I hear people dying off of one fentanyl tablet or pressed pill or whatever, right? Are you hearing that too? Get him,
Sorry about
get him,
that.
mama. Oh, you're good.
Sorry about that. I just was like, I muted myself so y'all didn't have to hear me.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. So people are car fentanyl. Like they don't have the luxury of experimenting with drugs and alcohol like we did when we were using. You can
Yeah.
go out there and try to buy Xanax, try to buy Roxy, and it has fentanyl in it. Like unless you go to the pharmacy yourself and buy it there, it is not safe to use. Like it, honestly. I thank God every day that I got sober when I got sober because if I was alive and doing drugs now, I would be dead. My son would have lost his mom for sure, 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Ugh. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
scary to
It
think
makes me
about.
sad for people who are struggling right now because it's just so addicting and so toxic. It's so bad. I saw an article online and it said trank dope and it was talking about xylazine and fentanyl in Pennsylvania and how people are injecting it. And this xylazine is an elephant tranquilizer. It's like making their skin rot, and so they're having these huge like wounds from where they're injecting. And they're also saying that the xylazine makes it really hard to reverse the an overdose. So they're having to use like 2, 3, 4 things of Narcan to bring people back to life.
Gosh, that's crazy. I've watched a lot of those like online, like I think YouTube documentaries and stuff where they're showing people get Narcan back. That looks so freaking scary. Did you ever have to have that done?
Yeah, and many times.
Shit.
Yeah. Only back then, all the times that's happened to me, because I won't go unconscious, I would wake up in the hospital. They would take me to the hospital, whoever I was with or the police, and I would wake up and I can remember I always had that nasty, they would give you some kind of charcoal stuff because they wouldn't know what I had taken. And so they would do that and then, give me Narcan or naloxone or pump in my stomach, my husband says, but you could taste it. It's disgusting. And that has happened to me so many times where I woke up and I'm in the hospital. I would be in a parking lot, like at the IHOP, and I shoot a shot, and I would, every time I would take Xanax during the day at my job, and then I would get off and I would shoot Roxy's, and that was what overdosed me because I had benzos in my system every time. It was so, I was so stupid, man, just stupid. I was ignorant. When I think back to that time, I think how ignorant I was because I know better. I know that would happen, but it was like I was so fucked up on bars that I just, I'm gonna, So yeah, it happened to me all the time, and I want to go back and find the police officer that found me when I went to the coma, in Southwest Little Rock. I want to find that guy, and I want to tell him thank you. You know what I'm saying? But I don't even know I don't even know his name, but I want to see if I could find out, call the hospital, see if they can pull my records from back then or something. Cause I think that would be cool to be able to find him and tell him thank you. But
yeah, I'm sure you could figure it out. If you worked hard enough, you'd find him. That'd be cool to make a little video about it or something. You should do it.
But you are what a lot of people struggle with. So I feel like people who shoot up and stuff like that, I think it's a little extreme. The way you are addicted to pills is what a lot of people experience. A lot of people, people who don't even really want to admit that that's what's going on, maybe they were prescribed opioids and they are taking them and then they've been on them for 20 years, but just recently here, they've been taking an extra one every day, and then slowly but surely they're running out early. So a lot of people can relate to your situation and how you were addicted,
Yeah. I mean, I've lost a lot of friends that, have overdosed. So, and that's mostly when, like I said, the stuff was mostly legit. So if they were dying back then, these days, they're going to be. So I just got to say, anybody that's messing with street drugs right now, man, please get some Suboxone or Sublocade or something, because, I mean, you're just one pill away from death, man. And most people watching our videos have kids, families and stuff. And it's just it's just too vulnerable, too risky right now to be an addict. So I guess we could kind of transition to my Suboxone history, or did you have any questions?
Tell me how you got on Suboxone. I want to hear about this.
Okay. Do you have any other questions about my opiate history while we're talking about it?
You didn't ever mix drugs, take cocaine or experiment with methamphetamine?
No, I've never tried cocaine, meth, any of that stuff. The worst thing I've ever taken was what's it called? Is it Vyvanse?
Yeah.
That was called?
I got a question for you. You're buff. You work out. Steroids.
Yeah. Oh, I've done a lot of steroids.
Did you get hooked on steroids?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know it, but I knew it. A lot of men who work out do this. Yeah. Okay. Did you see the thing about the Liver King?
Yeah, I did.
How did people not believe that he was on steroids?
Yeah,
what?
That's ridiculous that anybody would think that guy's natural is comical. Anybody that works out and knows what it takes to build a body like that.
Yeah.
It's funny. Thinking back on my fitness, I've been working out for 20 years straight. And when I first started working out, there was maybe 10% of the guys in the gym were messing with steroids. And literally now, I bet you anything, it's over 50% of the guys in the gym are trying or messing around with steroids or on them, normally. So it's just I think with the social media expansion over the years, so many people are into freaking steroids these days. It's very normal to have a conversation openly with people around about who's taking what. It's freaking weird.
When you took steroids, doesn't it give you energy? Because I know it's testosterone, right?
Yeah, there's testosterone and there's a bunch of other steroids that, because testosterone is basically what us guys have already, but when you're taking supplemental testosterone, you're boosting your levels to cycle, crazy high, like way off the charts. Like they can't even measure how high your testosterone goes when you're putting 500 milligrams of testosterone in your butt every week. You know, like,
So
um,
you had to shoot it in your butt, huh?
yeah, every
Did
week
you
I would
buy
take
it
like a
also?
huge shot.
How did you get it? Did you get it illegally through the dark web or whatever?
No, just like friends in the gym. There's a lot of guys in the gym that sell steroids, especially these days. Like you can ask like any guy that looks like he works out. Chances are he sells steroids in the gym. These days, okay. So comparing these days to when I first started working out 20 years ago, I would say that there's more women using steroids in 2022 than men that were using steroids 20 years ago.
To
It's
work
that,
out, to build muscle?
yeah. If you go on
Like
Instagram,
girls that want to be like buff, like gay girls or like regular girls?
both. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of women that are doing like fitness competition shows. A lot of them want to be huge. Like there's some girls I see that are as big as me in the gym, like literally, and their voices, they're deeper than mine because of the steroids changed women's voice box.
They got a little goat.
Did it
It's
ever
just
become an
really,
addiction for you? Steroids?
yes,
Oh,
yeah,
I
in my
know it
20s.
could. I have to take my
Yeah,
medicine, but go ahead.
yeah. So I was pretty much addicted to steroids. I went up to like 180 pounds from 130 pounds, and then I
You
hit
need
like
to talk about that more, Kevin. You need to be making
I,
content about that.
I just made a video recently about,
Okay.
I shared my entire transition and I told them about like steroids and stuff in the
Do
video
you
too.
know how many videos you could make about, God, man, roid rages, steroids and acne, steroids and sex? I mean, you can take it to the next level. I bet you money that would make. I know you would. A lot of people would come over there, and those videos would do really good. You know, I didn't know for sure that you had struggled with steroids, but I
Yeah,
figured you did because my dad's a bodybuilder, and even
yeah.
my dad did steroids before. So you know, everybody. I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of people who work out do steroids, and a lot of people who are sober in recovery do steroids, and they don't tell anybody about it. And they're like, "Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sober." Da, 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 da. Even in AA, all the time, and they're not honest about it. That's a real addiction. You know, like
yeah,
it can kill you.
yeah, it can. Yeah,
You
it can
know.
it makes your heart grow to like abnormally huge sizes because your heart's a huge muscle in your body, right? So when you're taking steroids, it's making your heart grow. And if you're taking stimulants and steroids, like if you're taking meth or coke and doing steroids, I think that's a big reason I never went towards meth and coke is because I knew that if you did the both of them, you're probably looking at a heart attack. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably a big reason that kept me away from taking any like hardcore stimulants. But yeah, like in my 20s up until like my probably early 30s, yeah, I'd struggled with quite a bit of steroid addiction. And since I did that, I had to get on testosterone replacement therapy from my doctor. So now I still have to take a small little dose of testosterone every week for the rest of my life because I took high doses of steroids and I basically told my body not to make any more natural
So
testosterone.
does my
So
dad. My dad has to do the same thing. He has to take
yeah,
uh, a testosterone pills or whatever they are. I don't know if it's a pill or a shot, but he has to
mhm,
do the same thing. And you know, like a lot of men who struggle with opiate addiction end up having low T anyway. So
yep,
like opioids affect men in such a different way than they affect women. And like my husband, he has low testosterone, and that can contribute to you having like no energy, feeling tired all the time, depression,
hmm,
you know, not being able to perform with your girl. And so like that could be another reason why I think a lot of men in recovery end up getting on steroids because they are looking for something that can help them, you know, because they are already struggling. They don't know they have low testosterone because it's expensive to see an endocrinologist, you know?
yeah. Honestly, for me, for like a lot of years, I didn't have health insurance. And like once you get set up with your doctor on testosterone replacement therapy, you can go. I would see my doctor twice a year, and he would run blood tests just once a year. It was only like $100 for a blood test, and then I would get my prescription for testosterone for the whole year, right? So, and if anybody's doesn't have health insurance, you can just go to GoodRx, download the GoodRx app, and you can get a 10 cc bottle of testosterone that will last you 3 months or so for like $40, $30, you know. So you can find ways around it to get testosterone replacement therapy if you don't have health insurance. But if you do have health insurance, it's a simple blood test with your doctor. I tell everybody on my channel, if you're struggling with any sort of opiate addiction, any sort of Suboxone use, Sublocade, any of that stuff, you're more than likely going to need some supplemental testosterone, because this stuff kills your testosterone levels for sure, for sure. And it's really dose specific. You know, if you're on a high dose of Suboxone, it's going to really crush your testosterone levels. And as Nicole just mentioned, that's going to give you issues with sexual drive, sexual performance, you know, not being able to get out of bed in the morning because you're so exhausted feeling or depressed. You can't make any gains in the gym when you're low, when your testosterone is low. Like, there's a lot of psychological issues. There's some studies that will say that having low testosterone is more dangerous than having higher testosterone. It could just really mess your body up. And so, guys, if you're struggling with any sort of any of those issues that I just mentioned, then just talk to your doctor. And it's a simple blood test right here, and you'll know in just a few days if you have low testosterone. It's cheap to get if you need it. So that's what I would do if I was you guys.
Yeah, and you're right. Like, Suboxone does have a lot of, oh crap. Stay right here. Let me. You tell me about how you got Suboxone. I'm going to change a little plug-in right here.
Okay, you're good. So I guess what happened is my transition to Suboxone, as the guy that I was buying my Roxy's from, he ran out. He's just like, hey, I have this thing that will help take you out of withdrawal. And I was like, that ain't going to do nothing. You know, I had never heard about it or anything like that. He gave it to me, and it was 8 milligram strip was my first Suboxone dose. And man, it hit me really freaking hard. Like, it was strong feeling. Even with my high tolerance, it felt really strong. I wouldn't say it was like as good as like an opiate buzz, but it was good enough to where I was like, dude, this is way cheaper. It lasted me like 24 hours the first time I took it. It was incredible. Like, I was like, this is my way off. This is gonna work if I can get some more of this, you know. So that was like my first experience with Suboxone. That kind of like, if you take a higher dose like that to begin with, I think that can kind of like program something in your brain to want to seek that same feeling that you first got when you first took your Suboxone. So I know a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there that are stuck on higher doses of Suboxone, and I think they're likely chasing that feeling that they got when they first took their Suboxone, and that's not really the way it works, unfortunately, in my experience.
Can you guys tell me something? So I have people who tell me that they get high on Suboxone, and they tell me that they take their Suboxone every single day. I don't understand how a person's getting high on Suboxone if they have it in their system and they're taking it every single day. To me, getting high is like, I'm like, my nose is itching. I'm like, like my eyes are low. I can genuinely feel high. I don't feel like that when I take Suboxone every single day. I'm clear-minded. I'm not, my nose isn't itchy or anything. Like, am I misunderstanding what people are meaning, or are y'all doing something I don't know about? Because I know how to manipulate my medication. I know if I skip taking it for 4 days and then I take a 5 milligram or 4 milligram strip or an 8 milligram strip, that will get me fucking high. But when I take it every single day, I don't feel one single thing at all.
Yeah, I think because you're on such a low dose right now, there was my buddy Zach had said something on one of my posts I made the other day, and I asked everybody. I did like a poll. I said, what do you feel when your Suboxone kicks in? And I put energy, I put euphoria, I put like anti-anxiety, like calming, it was just a bunch of different things. And he said, my goal is to not feel anything. And he's on a really low dose too. I think he's on like 1/4 of a milligram. And so I always like to tell people that if you're feeling your Suboxone kick in, and if you're trying to get off of it, then you're taking too much, right? Because if you're taking your dose of Suboxone and you're like sedated, like because I get sedated from higher doses of Suboxone, other people
Yeah.
get a lot of energy. Do you get like when you were on higher dose, do you get like sedated or do you get energized?
When I took 12 milligrams, I took 12 milligrams every day. I did not feel a thing. Now, like I said, I didn't feel a thing. But when I took it and I hadn't taken it in like 2 or 3 days, then it would fuck me up and my nose would be itching. But I wouldn't be like sedated while I was falling asleep. But I would be nodding.
Yeah.
But to get that effect, I would have to skip like 2 or 3 days and then
Okay.
dose that large amount. When I was on 12 milligrams, 8 milligrams, and I took it regularly every single day, it had no effect because like it's still in my system from the day before and the day before. So I wasn't getting any kind of head change from it at all. And that's why I get so confused. I had a guy reach out to me last night or the night before from Australia. And he told me, he said, every time I take my Suboxone, I get high. And I really want to understand because I've never had that before. Only when I don't take it though. Only if I skip doses, I would blast it off Suboxone. I've even shot it up before, not in my recovery, but in my active addiction. And even when I shot it up, I didn't get a high from that either, at all. And so I wonder if what y'all are saying by being high is just like, maybe I am feeling that. And I'm just so like, it's an overall sense of, hey, I'm doing good today. I got my Suboxone. I'm going to work. I'm having a great day. Like, I feel like that, you know what I mean? But I don't feel a head change at all.
Really? Yeah. So I definitely feel a head change. Even when like,
damn, I'm missing out, man, because I'm serious. Because you asked me that question on your channel. And I was like, well, no, when I skip a dose, I can feel like that. And even if I skip one dose, no. But if I skip 3 days, I'm telling you, I will reintroduce the medication into my system and I feel amazing. I like the way that it makes me feel. I feel like an opiate kind of feeling. My nose gets itchy. I'm kind of like, but I'm happy at the same time.
Damn. Yeah, that's crazy that just like hearing that you could just go for 3 or 4 days like that. Like I've never been able to do that. And I've heard you mention that on your channel before. You said something like, you'll know when you're ready to get off of Suboxone when you stop thinking about it, I think is how you kind of framed it. But for me, like it was always just like I had to take it no matter what. Every day I had to take it twice a day. And I think a lot of it kind of goes back to what, kind of how first of all, how your tolerance is, but second of all, how you're taking, I guess, throughout the day.
Are you still there? I'm coming.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Oh, God, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I'm so mad right now. Like I see it about to happen. It's okay though. I got my phone. My laptop for some reason it was not taking the charge, and so it kept on saying like low battery. But I was like, oh, it'll be okay. It's plugged in, but it just literally dropped it. So oh well, no big deal. I'm here now. Okay, I'll be quiet. Let me let you tell me how you got on Suboxone and what it was like and all that good stuff. Because I'm over here talking about getting high on it.
No, you're good. I kept talking as you were gone, so it shouldn't matter. But I was just saying that I've heard you before say something like, you'll know when you're ready to get off of Suboxone when you don't think about taking it. Like, and that blows my mind that you could ever get to that point because it was so built into my brain to think about it all day long that I could never skip a day like you could. And so I guess that kind of just shows how different we all are because, it's literally when I was on Suboxone, it was on my mind from the moment I woke up till the moment I went to bed. Like I could never skip and forget about it like you were talking about.
See, that's okay. I want to say something about that. Okay. So that is a really, really good point. The reason why I was able to forget about my Suboxone is because I didn't have the obsession to use Suboxone. The obsession to use for me was methamphetamine, cocaine, Xanax. To honestly, I think of Suboxone as a medication like my Wellbutrin. I don't obsess
Yeah.
over taking my Wellbutrin. I can forget to take it. I don't obsess over taking my Lexapro. I can forget to take it a lot of times. And when I do, I feel like shit after a couple days because it makes me feel weird. But like, that's what I think happens. I think that for some people, when they get on subs, it can become like a replacement addiction. And so when I got on subs, I really I worked so hard, man, to like get disconnected from my addiction self, to like change my behaviors and the way I treated others and the way I thought about drugs and everything. And so to me, Suboxone was like the savior because I had been trying to get sober for over 10 years, in and out of AA and rehab with no success. And I was humiliated because I couldn't get sober like everybody else. I have a lot of pride. And so I felt like such a failure. I felt like a loser. And when I got on Suboxone and it helped me to be able to obtain sobriety, like I was so fucking grateful, man. And I didn't want to do anything to fuck up me being able to, obtain my medication to stay sober. And so that's what I think happens. I think that it can become an obsession of the mind. Because, in AA, they talk about the disease process and how the disease affects our brain. And that when we take a substance into our bodies, like our brain has we have like an allergic reaction to that substance, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what causes us to have addiction. It's like we have an allergy, right? And so I feel like that can happen for people with subs. If you don't get your addiction, like your mindset and that obsession to use under control, then it will just shift. Like it shifted for me to food. So while people were while people were looking forward to taking their subs, I was looking forward to going to the Chinese restaurant, honey. You know what I mean? That's where my addiction switched to. And so instead of switching to the subs, I could go days without taking Suboxone. 4 days, 5 days, I'm like not feeling good. 4 days, I'm yawning and starting to not feel good. 3 days, I'm straight chilling. Fine. But that's what I think happens. I think that, we can get addicted to it. It's easy. It's an opioid,
Yeah, especially if it's because some people like me, I go to withdrawal fast. You know what I mean? Like I think maybe that's where you and I are different, is because my metabolism's so fast. Like I literally go into withdrawal on day one. I don't have, some people wait a week before they even go to withdrawal. And that blows my mind.
So you have a really high metabolism. So did your doctor have to prescribe you more because your body was running through it faster? Because I have a friend who has the same thing. It's like a thyroid thing too. And she was taking her subs, but then she was drug testing at the doctor and they were saying she didn't have any sub in her system. But she was literally taking it, and she was burning through it in like an 8-hour period. Is that what happened to you?
No, I never had issues needing higher doses or anything like that. Are you on your cell phone right now?
Yeah.
Can you go widescreen? There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
It made you really small again. That happens on my channel too. I'm like, turn your phone wide. There you go. But yeah, I guess it's just and it's funny because you'll hear some people say it's different for everybody, what they feel. Some people, like we said earlier, some people get energy, some people get anxiety relief. I think it's just a lot of different things that come into play. The dose obviously is a big part of it. I don't know, man. It's just but yeah, I've never, my metabolism has never made it to where I've needed super high doses, thankfully. I have been a little worried about the Sublocade shot, as far as it running out faster than most people would. But I don't know. I guess I'm not really too sure on that yet. I'll have to see as more time goes on, but I can almost no longer even see the Sublocade shot.
You know what,
shot.
Kevin? I'm telling you what, I believe that you have a lot of the psychological part of addiction. And
Mhm.
I can see you now. I bet you wake up in the morning and check your stomach to see if it's still there in the morning
I
to see if the
do.
bumps, and the minute it starts going down, you're like, oh shit, the medicine's list. I can see it now. That's,
Yeah.
that is so powerful. That's how powerful
Yeah.
our brain is. Okay. Like, think about it. I used to be able to go into withdrawal because I wouldn't have dope for the next morning. I would be high
Mhm.
and I would get myself sick because I knew in the morning when I woke up, I wasn't going to have any dope. You know, that's
Mhm.
how strong our minds are. Your mind is so strong that it's causing a lot of this. I believe. I'm not a doctor, of course,
Yeah.
but because I know, man, I'm telling you, I've had friends that are still testing positive for Sublocade a year after discontinuing the shot. So it's still
Yeah.
in there, but because of you knowing that the little lump's going down, I mean, that kind of makes you nervous probably because you are like, you're doing really good. I mean, you're not
Yeah.
taking anything orally anymore. That's amazing. And that takes a lot of like, that really takes a lot out of the hand to mouth. It's like, I feel like that relieves that obsession, you know? And so maybe what you're trying to do now is switch your obsession to being scared that it's going to not be there, you know, and worrying about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of it comes down to like my OCD, you know, like I
You have
think about,
OCD?
yes,
Oh,
very
that makes
bad.
complete sense then. Okay.
Like I overthink every little possible scenario of my life all day long. Like I think about every little what could happen, what might happen, this is probably going to happen. Like my brain is just always thinking about the what ifs and all this bullshit. So it's just like it's kind of a pain in the ass to have to try to deal with that. But as you were saying just a minute ago, like since I switched to Sublocade, like you've seen, I've tried to taper off of Suboxone. I don't know, 3 or 4 times over the last 4 years or so. I've been successful maybe once. I've failed jumping off like at least 2 times that I could think of. You know how hard this shit is coming off of Suboxone, right?
Yeah, it's not fun at all. And what I believe makes it really hard is that, like I said before, it's this freaking just your mind and just not feeling like normal. It's especially after you've been on Suboxone and you got on it because you're getting sober. And then to be at this point where you're back at square one almost, it's
Hmm.
really fucking discouraging, man. And it fucks with your mind. You know, that's why I was so glad that they made Sublocade because like this is really going to save so many people's lives and enable them to be able to get off of Suboxone without as much of a problem, you know. But yeah, it's not a good feeling to have trying to come off of it. And it's not like whenever I was struggling, I would go back up and then I would go down to 4 and then I would go back up. I still do that to this day. Like
Yep.
I will go up to 1 milligram, then I'll go back down to 0.25, then I'll go to 1.5, then I'll go back down to 2. Like I am constantly like fluctuating, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, honestly, and because my mind will tell me sometimes, hey, like you had a bad day today, you deserve to take an extra half, 0.5, you know?
I can't tell you how many times I've done exactly that, and that was a big proponent of me seeking out Sublocade is because I kept doing exactly what you said. Like I would go through a breakup, I would have to move from Idaho to Utah and pack all my shit up and move by myself and leave my girlfriend behind. I would have to go start a business from scratch. Like all of those events are huge, life-changing, stressful events, and every time that I would go through something like that, something serious, that's what would be for whatever reason, my brain would tell me, just take some more Suboxone and that will help get you through this little rough patch. It's exactly the little devil I say. He was always chirping in my ear, telling me, take a little bit more, take a little bit more. And then that's why I went like this over the years. I went up and down and up and down. And I was just like, fuck, dude, I'm so sick of trying this. It's like, it feels like it's never gonna, I feel like every little star in the moon have to line up just perfectly for me to get off of Suboxone. And I just got so tired of thinking about it all day long. And I was like, I need to figure something else out. And so I started doing some research on Reddit, and I've seen some people talk about how some doctors are allowing lower Suboxone dose people to get on a little bit lower of a shot. And so I was like, screw it, I'm going to try to talk my doctor into it. And that's exactly what I did. So I don't know if you know, but I went from 4 milligrams of Suboxone to 150 milligrams of Sublocade was my first shot. So basically, all that happened was he ordered the 300 milligram shot, and he squirted half of it out, and then gave me the rest of it. That's all. That's all he had to do. And so that's
That's
how
what
I
I
got
was
started.
telling everybody because I have people who are going to the doctor and they're wanting to get on Sublocade, but they're not on 8 milligrams, and their doctors are telling them no. And so I said, y'all need to come to the live tonight because my friend was on lower than 8 milligrams and he was able to get on the shot because his doctor squirted out some of the medicine.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, that's
awesome.
good.
That's what they should do. It's a new medication, and they should try new things to try and help other people, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of doctors out there now, and I think it's more of people who are in like the highly populated areas where addiction is, much more familiar. If you're out in the sticks somewhere in the country, then you might not be able to find a doctor who's willing to adjust from the normal. But yeah, like I was really glad that I asked my doctor. He basically had me sell him on why he would start me at a lower dose. And so I did. I told him I don't do very good when I have a high dose of buprenorphine in my system. I said I do better on the lower doses. I told him I haven't relapsed for 5 years and I'm not worried about that. That's not even like an option to me. I told him my testosterone levels go down the drain when I'm on such a high dose. Like I basically told him all these things. I told him how bad my constipation gets when I'm on high doses of buprenorphine. Like I basically kind of had to talk him into doing half of the 300 shot. But long story short, he did it, and he told me he's like, now I'm taking your scenario into account for helping other people who are on lower doses of Suboxone. So that makes me feel better about, like even just here in my area, like maybe there's a guy out there on 2 or 3 milligrams who my doctor now will just give him 100 milligram shot and just call it good. So that's kind of what my hope is. Like on my channel, like I have a lot of people who are switching from Suboxone to Sublocade, and I have a lot of them share with me their experience. What dose did they come from on Suboxone to what dose of Sublocade did they give them, and how did that transition go? Like that's a really important part of the transition is like sharing your journey for what other people know, so what they can expect. You know what I mean?
Heck
So
yeah.
that's kind of
Because
what
we
I've
help
been.
people by doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I feel like the more stories that you can share, the better it's gonna, because it's scary to transfer from. A lot of people are scared to go from controlling their dose every day with oral Suboxone to you have to give up control once you go on Sublocade. Like you get what the doctor puts in you, and that's all you're doing from there. You have to kind of be at the mercy of whatever happens after that. And so I tell a lot of people, if you're
I
considering
had
going
one
from,
girl who was struggling because she got on Sublocade, and
uh-huh,
because she didn't have like the hand to mouth, she was really struggling, and so she got back on Suboxone. But Dr. B, if we have somebody that struggles like that, he will actually prescribe them some Suboxone strips to
yeah,
supplement them, so that way they don't have to get off the Sublocade and they can use their strips. He will prescribe them to them for as long as he needs to until they get comfortable and they're like good to go and they don't feel like they need to take their sub strips anymore. And you know what? I even told some people, I said, listen, if you're having a problem and you can't stop thinking about your Suboxone, go to Walmart and grab yourself some fucking Listerine strips, okay?
yep.
And take those and place them underneath your tongue. Watch your brain believe that that's a Suboxone strip, and you be okay.
Have you had
It
anybody try
works.
that?
It works.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's
Yeah.
freaking. It works. And the way I got the idea was I saw a commercial of a man on TikTok showing people how to dose, and he had a Listerine strip, and he was teaching people how to dose with the Listerine strip, so that way he didn't have like a Suboxone strip there. You know?
Oh, damn. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really creative idea. I think I've talked about that a couple of times on my channel since you mentioned that. It's a really good idea.
Sorry, I got these two boys in front of me. Go ahead and say hi.
No, you're good. What's up?
They're so bad.
That's a good looking Christmas
They've
tree.
been literally like yelling and distracting me. So I keep on having to go like this, and I'm like, damn, I hate that. You know what I mean?
No,
Like I don't like feeling like I can't talk. But anyways, they're in their room now. Now that you're on Sublocade, do you feel like more confident about your recovery? Are you feeling like, do you feel better about it? Like, tell us how you feel. How's it affecting, like, are you having any of the same side effects that you had when you were on subs?
some are better, some are kind of the same. Well, let's see. Let me back up a little bit. So for the first month, I kind of kept my stash of Suboxone because I was afraid, if I could not get rid of that oral addiction. And I took Suboxone 3 times the first month, just mostly out of curiosity. It wasn't like I was in any sort of withdrawal at all. I was just like, I had the little devil, like, what would it feel like to take your Suboxone and feel it kick in, because
Yeah.
once you get on Sublocade, you don't feel that anymore. You don't even feel like you're on Suboxone or anything. You just feel normal 24/7. And I think for a lot of people, that's a big adjustment. And because they're so used to controlling how they feel with putting their medication under their tongue every day. But yeah, like just thinking back, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would have burnt my Suboxone from the first day that I got my shot, because every day that you don't have to put something in your mouth to feel normal, that's one more day that your brain is rewiring, and your brain is telling yourself that you don't have to put something under your tongue just to feel normal today. So, I mean, here I am, more than 60 days since I've taken a Suboxone dose, so I'm really happy about that. I don't ever even think about Suboxone anymore, which I think is very impressive to be only, 3 months into my Sublocade journey. So I'm very thankful to not have to think about it all day anymore. Because like I said, I'm so OCD that I would, as soon as I woke up, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta take my dose. And how am I feeling now? And I always set the stopwatch every time I took my Suboxone dose for an hour and a half. I'd be like, okay,
Really?
yeah, every dose I have ever taken twice a day, I would set my stopwatch, hour and a half, and then I would count. As soon as I would see it hit hour and a half, I'd be like, okay, well, this is like the most that I'm gonna feel. And so I was like, just strung around by watching the clock all day, every day, and just to not have to do that anymore, like that one thing alone is a huge blessing to me after being so OCD with the medication and having to put something in my mouth for the last 20 years, whether it was opiates or Suboxone, like to not think about that anymore. Like that alone, honestly, it really does make it worth it. Just that makes the whole thing worth it to me.
Now I
So,
understand why you were, see, I always used to get, I not offended, but before I knew you, I would get kind of upset because I was like, what I felt like, why is he acting like it's so, not acting like, but why does he want to get off of it so bad? It's not a bad thing, blah, blah, blah. But like, obviously it was because you were having like a hard time with the medication, and it was making you not, with your OCD, it was making you like feel like a ball and chain.
oh
For me,
yeah, yeah.
I feel like I have a lot of freedom because I went from, where I was at in my active addiction to where I'm at today. I honestly am so happy at this moment in time right now, living in my new home, being on the low dose of Suboxone, studying to be a counselor, all the things that I'm doing. I've never felt more confident and better about myself, but now that I know that you struggle so badly with OCD, and
Hmm.
like I put my Suboxone strip in my mouth, it melts, I spit out the spit, and then I'm like going about my day. And
Yeah,
so
see,
I did not know that you did that. Like
yeah.
going an hour and a half, and like that's a lot. That's tough, especially
Like,
because it's supposed to be there to help you. So it was not doing that for you anymore. It was doing the opposite.
let me just tell you, like I only told you like a little bit about it. It goes way worse than that. Like, so constipation was always an issue I had to worry about. So as soon as I woke up, I'd be worried how much in withdrawal I am, and then I would be like, oh, crap. Well, I have to go poop today, so I can't take my Suboxone until I go poop. So now I gotta drink enough water, eat some food, and then I can't take my subs until I go poo for the day, or else I won't be able to poo. So there's that. And then I have to think, am I going to plan on having sex tonight? If I am, then I need to make sure I don't take very much Suboxone. And then if I do, then I have to make sure I take Suboxone earlier in the day so it's not affecting my erections later on at night. Like all kinds of like there's a whole bunch of like side things like that that I had to think about every day. It was like I was juggling my whole day around my Suboxone dose, like it just I don't know. It kind of made me feel like a crazy person after so many years of doing that.
Yeah, now you feel free, huh? Like you're not
Yeah.
connected to that anymore. Hey, Pixie. Pixie says, is it normal to be sweating after 21 days on Suboxone? Honey, I'm going to tell you a little secret. I didn't stop sweating on Suboxone until I got down to like 4 milligrams, I think. I sweat so bad that I was waiting tables at one time and I was dripping sweat trying to hand people their damn plates. I was miserable. You can actually ask your doctor to write you a prescription for a medication. I don't know if it's a prescription or over the counter, but it's called Vitadone or Vitadone. V as in Victor, ITADONE, and that will help you with your sweating. Just make sure that you drink plenty of water because it can dehydrate you. Do you sweat from when you were on Suboxone?
Yes, yeah, and it's directly for me. It was directly related to the higher the doses, like you were saying. The higher the dose I was on, and I would notice it. Like if I was used to taking like 8 milligrams a day, and say I took 16, I would have like an extra layer of sweat on my forehead. And I do notice it too with the Sublocade shot that when I first get my shot, I'm more sweat. Is it mostly just like on your forehead that you guys are getting sweaty,
Yes,
or
my forehead and my back, dude.
your back?
My back would get so sweaty. But also I was super, like I've lost 35 pounds, in the last 7 months or so. So, I was really, really a lot more overweight than I am right now. So I think that, contributed to it. And I also like when I got on subs, you guys, I was 165 pounds, I got up to 200 and almost 40 pounds. And I was miserable, and I'm still miserable, but I'm working really hard to get down to probably like 165, 170. I would be so happy about, because getting on subs and then trading my addiction from drugs to food really fucking did a number on my body,
Yeah. Yeah. So is it safe to say Suboxone helped make you gain weight? Is that your experience or what?
Yeah. I gained weight. My husband lost weight.
Okay. See, for me, I'm like your husband. I lost weight with the higher doses of Suboxone.
Yeah. Neil takes 20 milligrams of subs, y'all, and he takes it like I do. He takes it every morning, but he doesn't think about it. And my husband's like, he doesn't take more or less. He just takes his 20 milligrams and he goes on about his day. But my husband has been on some form of medication assisted treatment for over 20 years. He was one of the first people when they first started testing Suboxone. He was actually paid to like take it and stuff. And so he hurt his back when he was younger, and that ever since then he had been addicted to opioids. He got on like Oxycontin, and then he started taking, shooting him up and all that stuff. And so he's been on MAT for a really long time. What, baby? Will you take Paco outside with Daddy? So he just pops his 20 milligrams and goes on about his day. And it's crazy to me because I didn't do that. I struggled with fluctuating up and down.
Yeah. You guys are obviously able to have a healthy sex life with him on that dose?
Well, no, okay. So I'll tell you, my husband and I didn't have sex for the first 2 years we were sober. Honestly, the first year we were fighting to get Nathaniel back. And so it was so not even a thought in our mind because we were so depressed. Our little boy, was everything to us. He would always sleep with us in our bed. So when we would go to bed at night, he wouldn't be there. So I was crying myself to sleep. So the first year, no. The second year, wait, hush, he was working and I just, for some reason, I just didn't think about it. The third year, I started to say, oh my gosh, like we're not being intimate. Does he not love me? Is he not attracted to me anymore? I've gained so much weight. And so I asked him and I started talking to him about it. And of course he said, no, I love you so much. I honestly don't get the feeling. I don't get that, horny. I don't get horny. It doesn't happen naturally, and so I had to start like initiating that with him to help to so we could have a sex life, because we weren't going to have one if I didn't. And so I really just like, I put all of my like embarrassment to the side, and I like started communicating with him about it. But if I hadn't, we would have probably, I don't know, we might have gotten divorced because of it, eventually, because we weren't connecting with each other. And I think it's really important to be in a physical relationship, to have a connection with your significant other. And so yeah, but now we have, we got good sex now.
Is he on TRT or anything?
My husband is amazing. He goes, "Oh my gosh, what's wrong with you?" He just walked in the door. But I don't know. Neil, does being on 20 milligrams affect you to where you feel like you can't function sexually? Yeah, situational. He says it depends. Sometimes it can, if he's like really tired, he just got off work. But for the most part, like I can, help him out a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Has he ever had his testosterone checked?
Yeah, he has had it checked, and they have like confirmed that he does have low testosterone. My husband is like the world's worst for not doing what he's supposed to do and go to the doctor. And so, I got my hepatitis C treated last year, and he hasn't got his treated yet. So he needs to do that, and then he needs to go get they have a low T center here in Little Rock, and so he needs to go to that low T center and get it taken care of. He also struggles really bad with mental illness, like really bad depression. Like when I first met Neil, he would cut himself, like it was really scary. And he's like the sweetest guy, like sweet, outgoing to me, and like always wanting to take care of other people. But behind the scenes, he was like battling like these horrible demons. And it was because of mental illness and shame. My husband's family is very secretive. And so they would always teach him not to tell anybody that he was an addict, not to tell anybody, just like shaming him basically. And so he grew up like that. And so he was never able to talk to people about his struggles. And then here I come, and I'm like an open book, And so I'll never forget the first time he cut himself across the chest like a gash with a knife. And I was so scared because I thought, oh my gosh, like I'm dating somebody that's going to take their own life or something, But now he is on the right medication, and his depression has been treated for years now, and he's been stable, like as far as his depression, for a long time, like over 5 years now. And I'm so grateful for that, because it was really scary at the beginning,
Yeah, I almost guarantee you that if he got on testosterone replacement therapy, he would be doing a lot better emotionally as well, especially with sexually too. Like if there's ever like an issue with that, like it would zap that right out, if he had the right testosterone levels. But 20 milligrams, man, that's definitely gonna hurt your appetite for sex, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, and you know what? I talk about that. I made a whole live stream about Suboxone and sex, because so many people were asking me about it and struggling with it. And you would be surprised how many people are like afraid to talk to their significant other or say something about it. Like they feel embarrassed to tell them that they want to be intimate with them. And I'm not embarrassed at all. Like I will tell my husband, like, you better please me, man. I just, you know what I mean? Like I am not shy to say it, but and also sober sex. Like a lot of people are uncomfortable having sex without being inebriated, Now that was something that I struggled with, because when I was on drugs, I had so much confidence. Like I thought I was a Playboy bunny, honey. When I first met my husband, I was twirling on a pole for him, seducing his ass. And then once I got sober, I started to be so insecure, Okay. And so I like went inside of myself and withdrew. And so I had to I had to learn how to like navigate my sobriety, like my body sober, because I was like, like I said, I was wilding out when I was high. And so
Yeah.
sober sex can be like, I've seen people relapse because they're so afraid to have sex with their significant other without drugs and alcohol, you know?
Damn, that's crazy. I've never heard
It's,
anything
it's,
like that.
it's hard. It's scary. I feel like
Huh.
people get scared, you know what I mean? But anyways, I'll talk about that all day long because I feel like me and my husband have really worked so hard to like talk and communicate with each other. And I came from a family where we yell at each other. We don't communicate, you know? And so
Hmm.
it's such a big deal to me that I'm able to talk with him, you know? And we've been able to make it through from being in active addiction to now being in sobriety together.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. Not a lot of people can make it through the ups and downs that you guys have and still stick it out. So yeah, you guys should be good to go from here.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so proud of you, man, and I know you're so happy to be on Sublocade and be free. I feel so guilty that I judged you before, and I never not liked you, but I remember that you were friends with Roberta, and she hated my guts for some reason. After we had been friends for so long, and then she got mad at me, and I remember being like, just like, what's wrong with him? Why is he saying that? And now I know, like, it's because you were struggling, man. I hate that. And
Yeah.
I used to believe that people couldn't be addicted to Suboxone. Like, I was so closed-minded, but now I see that people, oh, he'll be back. I see that people can be addicted to subs and that it can, you know, affect you in a negative way. And I feel guilty forever assuming that it couldn't, you know, guys. And so let me see y'all's comments. I'm taking 20 milligrams a day for chronic pain, and it has helped a lot with this. It's the tremors and the sweating that gets to me. So I'm wondering if it's too high. Hey, Pixie Dust, you're taking 20 milligrams? Awesome. So talk to your doctor about it. So tremors, explain to me what you mean by tremors. Hey, Banks Love, what's up, baby? Hey, Game Day 21. Hey, Deb. Hey, y'all. Hey, Kingdom Within. I'm so glad you guys are here. Sorry that I've been a little distracted with my son. I hope you guys have enjoyed hearing hear Kevin share about his experience and everything. I hope that if you guys enjoyed it, that you guys can relate and that you'll go subscribe to his channel. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, let me tell you this. Pixie says, I have a little. She is on 20 milligrams and she feels like shaky. She feels shaky and she feels like sweating all the time. And she's on it for chronic pain. And she's wondering, how long have you been on it? You said 2 months, right? She's wondering if it's too high. Like, here's the thing, girl. You can always go down. You know what I'm saying? Talk to your doctor about it. 21 days. Okay. Talk to your doctor about it. What do you think, Kevin?
21 days. She's only been on Suboxone 21 days?
Yeah.
What was she on before that? Or is this only for chronic pain that she's on it? You know?
Yeah, I'm not sure. She'll answer us. The Mighty says 20 milligrams. Okay, so this is one thing I want to point out, and I'm not going to shame you or anything, Mighty, but I want to say something about this, your comment. So he says 20 milligrams is too high for anyone, blah, blah, blah. So here's the thing, you guys, like, and I truly believe this in my heart. Like, just like me and Kevin, my addiction and his addiction experience were so different. So different, you know, night and day difference, you know, of how extreme we got, how our addictions progressed and all that. And so I believe that there are people that do need to be on a higher milligram of Suboxone. Some people say, oh, you only need 8 milligrams. Yeah, eventually you'll get to that point. But when a person is coming off of opioids or heroin or fentanyl, a lot of what happens is they're anxious, they're afraid, they're dreading withdrawal. And so for the doctor to be able to give them 20 milligrams to ease their anxiety, to help them get through the initial withdrawal, and that helps them. Eventually, every person on Suboxone, I believe, eventually decides or comes to a point where they're like, you know what, I could probably go down a little bit on this. We have patients at Dr. B's office who are chronic pain patients who are prescribed 40 milligrams of Suboxone. Okay. And literally take their Suboxone every day as prescribed, and they have to have that amount. If they don't, they are nervous, they're upset, they're not feeling good, they're depressed. And so, like, the difference between somebody, so people have to understand that it's not just about like how much of the medication you're taking. Addiction is so much of our brain disease, you know? And so I believe, you know, that enabling a person to be able to have that little extra, whatever they need, can be the difference between them living or dying. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I try my hardest. Like, I even make mistakes and say I'm on a really low dose. Like, I shouldn't say that. I should just say this is the amount I'm on, because I don't ever want to make you guys feel like insecure about the amount that you're taking. Do you know what I'm saying? So just for future references, like, and I'm working hard on changing the way I talk, because I just don't ever want to discourage anybody from getting life-saving treatment. You know, like, I've had so many people who have like gotten on subs and then been told that they're not in recovery. I've been had it told to me for like so many years, and to the point where I finally said that I don't want to be sober. I don't want to be clean. If being sober and clean is what you have and you want to tell me that I'm not, I don't want what you have.
Yeah.
I don't want that, because I would never do that to somebody else, you know? So I just want to make sure that we're like empowering each other and helping each other, because I mean, the reality of the situation is we're on subs. It is what it is. Now let's help each other on the journey. You know what I'm saying? And what do you think, Kevin?
As far as the dose, or just kind of what you were just talking about?
Either one. You can talk about both of them, or you can talk about just whatever you want to say.
Well, as far as I see what the Mighty DR says, 20 milligrams is too high for anyone. Just remember that there's a lot of people that are using this medication for, some people are coming from high doses of fentanyl, right? Or some people are using Suboxone for chronic pain, like they've blown out their backs, you know, to where they can't freaking walk without being in pain. So I understand that 20 milligrams, generally speaking, sounds like it's a high dose, but there are people that have, you know, they're crippled or they can't walk or something because the pain is so bad. And so just remember, guys, that everybody's on their own level. You know, myself, I felt guilty too I mean, a lot of my channel is based on me sounding like I'm trying to rush off of Suboxone when it's almost like I kind of feel bad, like making everybody who watches my videos think that they have to get off of Suboxone or Sublocade too, and that's not the truth. Like, there's a lot of people on my channel that are living a great life on 16 milligrams of Suboxone, right? Like, not everybody struggles with the same side effects that I did. So I just think that the number one goal probably for your channel and my channel is to just do not relapse and go back to street drugs, because that's where you're risking instant death. Like, if you're on 16 milligrams, 30 milligrams, 2 milligrams of Suboxone, if your life is safe and you're safe, who gives a fuck what dose you're on, right? Like, you're alive. You can taper if you need to or if you want to, but don't rush this shit, guys, because my failures, Nicole's failures, like, that's proof that it's a hard medication to come off. So you guys really need to be patient with yourself when you and your doctor decide it's time for you to start working your way off of the medication. That's really kind of all I had to say about that.
I struggled to, you know, because I tried to rush off.
Mm-hmm.
And at the last minute, I pulled a card and I tried to do things my own way. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to just be able to help other people to learn from my mistakes, you know. And, you know, who knows? I might stay on Suboxone for the rest of my life. Like, I don't know what the future holds, you know.
Yeah.
But I finally got to a point in my life where I'm not ashamed to be on subs. And I'm not, like, I used to be ashamed. I used to feel like I had to prove something to my subscribers, to my followers, and that I needed to prove to them that I could get off Suboxone and I was going to, but it's like, you know what? I don't feel like that anymore. I feel like I did what I did. People saw me go through withdrawal. I got back on, and now we're at where we are at today, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I just want you guys to know that we're here to support you, and if you ever get the wrong idea or feel like Kevin is trying to put the idea out that you have to get off Suboxone, or if I'm doing that and making you feel, we're both the same way. We don't want to ever, want to impose like what we're doing or what we believe onto you. We just want you guys to feel encouraged and maybe get strength from our videos. Maybe if you're going through the same thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I remember when you kind of came off this last, I don't know, beginning of this year, I think it was. I was like, damn it, I'm the last YouTuber to get off this shit. And I was so jealous. Like, I was like, it motivated me though to like push myself harder. And I think that's when I got down to like 1 milligram again. Because I remember you had gotten off for a while, and I was like, it really motivated me to really push myself. And then I just kind of hit a brick wall somewhere just right below 1 milligram. And I was like, fuck. And then I started going back up again. I was like, how many times am I going to do this?
That's what happens though. And everybody, like, I really, y'all, it's just, all of us have, like, your life is different than my life. I have a kid, like, everybody's life is so different. Like, it's easy to like say stuff, and say, oh, it needs to be this way. But then, like, when you think about it and how, like, life is just so different for every person, circumstances. Right now, we had a pandemic. We are in the middle of a recession. People are losing their homes and have nowhere to live. Like, being on Suboxone could be the very thing that keeps somebody alive and makes their day not so depressed.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're right.
And so that's why I try to remember, like, you know what? I got to be more mindful, because I want you guys to be encouraged, and I want you to feel like you came here and you learned something and you got something out of it. Like, that's what I always wanted to help you guys with, that, because it's my purpose and passion to be here to support you guys. And I feel like you're the same way, Kevin. Kevin just put me on to the coolest thing last night. I'm going to let you talk in a second so that way we can wrap it up, because I'm going to fix some spaghetti for the boys. But he put me on to this thing called Clarity FM. He's doing it. Y'all, if you guys look at him, look at his body. Okay, look what he's been able to accomplish in his life. Okay. He's doing like coaching on there, or calls. Like, he takes calls. People call him if they have a question, and they talk to him for however long you want to talk to him for. It could be 20 minutes or 4 hours. Yep. And it's really freaking cool. And so I thought it was so cool, because I signed up for it, and it does all the work for you. And so what I'm saying is, like, you have access to people like me, like Kevin, to get support if you need it and you want to talk to somebody, And so always remember that, and know that, like, we're available to be of support to you. And even if you just watch our videos, that's support, that you can come hang out and for free. Yep. It's a big deal, y'all. It's a hard time right now. A lot of people are struggling. And so putting a lot of time and effort into making content, I know it's something that I'm passionate about, and I know you are too. Okay, so take us away. Tell us some good things about how you're feeling now, and then I guess we'll wrap it up.
Oh, just to touch really quick on what you were just talking about, the clarity.fm. I was surprised that you didn't have that, because, like, just watching your videos over the years, it's clear that you've put countless hours into researching addiction, and learning different ways to, like, deal with addiction. And you've also got experience with the poly abuse, the poly substance abuses. So I just know for me that I've spent like thousands of hours reading every video comment, looking on Reddit, going through YouTube. Like, I've talked to tons and tons of people. You've talked to more people than I have. So for somebody to, like, be able to click on your clarity.fm account and have a freaking quick 10-minute conversation with you, like, that is a huge resource that I hope you guys use, because a lot of people, like she said earlier, they're afraid or ashamed to ask their doctor this. And to be quite honest with you guys, like, doctors are great, but you got to remember that there's thousands of medications that doctors are prescribing. They don't know all the ins and outs of every single medication that they prescribe, guys. So if there's a substance that you've struggled with, and that Nicole has gotten past that, then feel free to reach out to her, and she can help you guys with a quick, easy phone call. Just reach out to her on that clarity.fm account.
I bought this book. And it just came in the mail today. Like, I'm always reading and teaching myself about addiction and new treatments and all kinds of stuff. I want to tell you this. I did an interview with a scientist or I think it was a doctor that was doing a research for methamphetamine because they're trying to make it to where doctors actually use a stimulant like Adderall or Vyvanse as a mat treatment for meth addiction. And so they had me, like, they asked me all kinds of questions about my experience with meth, how I'm feeling now, what I struggle with, everything. And so, like, I can only hope that, you know, in the next couple of years, we'll have methamphetamine treatment.
Like, just thinking about that, that sounds like that would be perfect.
Yes, it would be. Absolutely, 100%.
That's incredible. Yeah, I hope that happens, because I mean, just thinking about everything all together, like, I think that could be like the equivalent, you know, the exact thing, like opiates to Suboxone. That is awesome. Real quick before I kind of wrap up, I've seen Kingdom Within had asked, he said, Nicole, how do you feel about Kratom, and have you taken it? Do you have any experience with Kratom?
I've taken it one time. My friend Avalon, she's been on it for like 6 or 7 years. It saved her life. She got off of Suboxone with Kratom. I took it one time, and it made me really jittery. I think I took too much of it. But I have a lot of friends that utilize Kratom, and I totally support you if you use Kratom and it helps you. My only thing I would tell you is, if you are trying to use Kratom to get off of like Suboxone or other opiates, just be mindful that, you know, it could become a problem like what you're getting off of. You could become addicted to Kratom like you could become addicted to anything. So just be mindful, like really try to be stern in what you do, and set like if you're going to have a quit date, and use it to taper, and then be done, you know? Because I'll tell you this, you guys, real talk. There are these places that are taking Kratom and they're adding other things to it. Okay. And so I'm in a group where there's like 5 different parents who have lost their children to mitragynine poisoning, an overdose of Kratom. And that's all that was in their system. No other drugs. I know everybody asks that. No other substances. Okay. But what it is it's these things called K shots. And they get them from the head shop or the store, and they're like a drink. Dude, they're like super potent additives to it. I don't know what is added to it, but what it shows up as is the mitragynine, the alkaloid in Kratom. And so we actually had a lady reach out to Dr. B because her mom passed away from drinking those. She was like, they came home and found her dead in her home. And so if you're getting Kratom, make sure that you're getting it from a reputable vendor, okay, where it's actually like legit natural Kratom and not this bullshit that they sell in smoke shops. Don't buy it from smoke shops. Do not do it. Okay, that's what I think about Kratom. But I support you if you use it. And if it helps you, I support you 100%. I don't judge people for, you know, using plant medicine or whatever they need to. Shoot, I don't care if you're fucking doing ketamine infusions. If it helps you to fucking fight your addiction and your depression, I don't care if you use fucking microdose mushrooms. If that helps you overcome shit and you become better from it, then I support that too.
I've heard a lot of people recently talking about those things that you just mentioned. Marky, a buddy on my channel, always talks about ibogaine. Do you know anything about that?
What is it called?
Some people call it ibogaine.
Oh, ibogaine, yeah.
Have you heard many people share their experience with that, or no?
You know, I actually got Riviera Maya is a ibogaine treatment place in Mexico. They actually hit me up and asked me if I would like be a like a sponsored person for them, like a person who, if people reached out to me and they're interested in ibogaine, I would bring them to them, you know. And so I have a friend that actually did it. His name is John, and he used to have a YouTube channel, and he was always going through withdrawal, heroin and methadone. And he went and did ibogaine, and it's $10,000 straight up cash. You have to pay $10,000, and between 10 and 15K. And he went and did it, and he says that it basically took him back to where he was before he was ever addicted, and he no longer has the desire to use or anything. And he's great. He's been sober ever since. So it's legit, like, supposed to reset your brain to a pre-addictive state. Then I also met this other guy. I had him on the channel. They're doing ketamine, NAD, and Komba, which is a hallucinogen that you get from a frog from Africa. And it's a new detox, and it's called NAD plus detox. And they're doing it, him and this doctor, and he's on TikTok, you guys, and you should see it. Like, people are going in there doing this concoction and coming off of like 160 milligrams of methadone, 32 milligrams of Suboxone, and they're coming out of there with like basically no withdrawal. It's crazy, but it's expensive. Insurance don't cover that shit. You gotta pay $10K, baby.
10K cash. No receipt.
That's expensive too, you know. And I always say, like, it's for a certain demographic of people. Like a person like me, when I was in active addiction, I didn't have 10K. Person like you probably had 10K when you was in active addiction. You know what I'm saying?
I did.
But it needs to be available. Hopefully one day in the future, these kind of treatments will be available to people with insurance, and then people will be able to access things like that. But you know what? I'm going to go conspiracy theory on you a little bit or whatever. That's not what the United States of America wants. The United States of America wants us all to be addicted and sick. And so, because being addicted and sick keeps money in the pockets of treatment centers, big pharma, and all that. And I truly believe that this whole opioid thing this is a plan to kill people off. You know what I mean? For the strongest to survive and the rest to be done away with. And it's just sad. That's just really what it is to me, I believe. And I help people get into MAT treatment and everything, but I still see for what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm sure you see a lot more stuff than I do and hear a lot more stuff, especially where you're working for Dr. B too. Like, I mean, I bet you just hear crazy stories all day long, right?
Yeah, if you don't have money, you don't get care that is like equivalent to somebody that does have money, you know. And it's so discouraging. And it's not even like with Dr. B, it's not even Dr. B, it's like his hands are tied. Like, it's insurance companies, and it's just bullshit, you know. Like, we scholarship so many people into the program that don't have money to pay for their appointments and stuff. It's unbelievable. Like, it's crazy. Like, I don't even know how Dr. B makes money, because he's just got such a big heart. And then on top of that, I have a big heart. So I come to him and I ask him, can we pay for this person, you know? But like, if we didn't, like, sending somebody away because they can't pay their $200 for their doctor's appointment,
that
you know,
sucks.
like, fuck that, man. I'm not going to do that to somebody. Especially
if they went to go like relapse and you seen them on the news the next day, like freaking dead or overdose. Like, oh God, that's scary shit these days.
That's like, how I think about every person that, you know, I think about, oh my God, what if I told them that they couldn't, and they go and something bad happens to them? It's like a stream, a guilt that I feel. But anyway, I love you. Thank you so much for coming on here and chit-chatting with me. I know I kept you on for a long time, but I'm just so glad that we've become friends, because I feel like I didn't really get to know you at the beginning, and now I get to know you. And I hope that you guys hearing his story about how he struggled and everything, I hope it helps you. And if you're struggling like Kevin was with his Suboxone, like, don't be ashamed. Reach out to me. I'll help you. I can help you get on a taper plan and be there to cheer you on and help you stay accountable and stick to it.
Exactly. Yeah. And as she already mentioned earlier, if any of you guys are interested in following my journey, my YouTube channel name is right there, Kicking Addiction. I think she put a link to it on her channel. We go live every Wednesday if you guys want to come hang out and chat. It's all good. Nicole and I we're here for you guys. So just let us know if you guys have any questions, or check out Nicole's newclarity.fm account too if you guys need to have a private conversation with her. She's available at the click of a button.
Oh, I love you, man. I'm going to text you after I get off here, okay?
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye, girl.
Okie dokie. Y'all, Give it up for Kevin. That was a good live, you guys. And I really appreciate Kevin for coming over here and hanging out with me, even though I got my scandalous ass little boy and husband over there making a lot of racket in the background. You guys, like legit, every person in here, like I'm proud of you, dude. Like whatever progress that you're making, just remember this, okay? Progress, not perfection, right? Take it one day at a time, put one foot in front of the other, okay? Nobody's life is perfect. We all have struggles, okay? Don't compare yourself. Comparison is the thief of joy, all right? And I can tell you I have done it for so many years. Compare myself to other people's journey. And that fucked me up. And so you do what's best for you and your recovery, okay? Don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about if this person's tapering faster than you're tapering. Don't worry about, and just focus on making good choices. Focus on learning new coping skills, okay? New ways to stay sober. Don't make the same mistakes that I made and transition to coping with food, okay? Really, really, really work hard on trying to find stability with your mental health, with your living situation, financially, so that way you have the best chance at staying sober, and like I said, if there's anything that I can help you guys out with, if you have questions or you just want to chat or whatever, just hit me up. I'll help you guys with whatever you need. And please go subscribe to Kevin's channel, Kickin' Addiction. I'm going to put his link in the comment section and in the description box. And I'm also going to put his coaching website there too, so you guys can reach out to him through that too. I wouldn't have him on if I didn't think that he was worth it and a good person. So, when I have people on my channel, it's like hey, thanks, Stacy. I appreciate that, girl. When I have somebody on my channel, it's like I'm putting my stamp of approval behind their name. You know what I'm saying? So, Kevin, you better not fuck me up. You better not do no stupid shit. Really, it's like I wouldn't have somebody on that I felt like would ever try to harm anybody or take advantage of anybody, So, if you need support, I know Kevin goes live every Wednesday and he loves going live. He was on 4 hours last week. So go hang out with him. I'm going to start going live here on YouTube and on a schedule, and I will post the schedule on my community tab. Okay. But I love you guys, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side. See you later.